Hey there, today we're doing a review of this bag. It's the Alpaka Flow Satchel 10 liter. Here at Nomads Nation, we have been reviewing the world's best EDC and travel gear for the last 7 years. And in this video, I'm gonna tear this bag apart. We're gonna compare it to the 4 liter version so you know which size is best for you. We're gonna fully pack it out. We're gonna double check its advertised capacity. Gonna give you my brutally honest pros and cons and overall scores. And if you're not quite sure that this Flow Satchel is for you, you're gonna wanna stick around to the end of the video where I will make 2 alternative bag recommendations that just might suit your needs better than this, because there's a lot of great bags in the market right now. We review all of them. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the overview of the Alpaka Flow Satchel 10 liter. Quick brand background. Alpaka is an Australian Chinese brand, and they are just pumping out some of the best bags in the world right now. But not best always in terms of quality. They are high quality, but best in terms of that ratio between quality, but still having an affordable price point. That's kind of like Alpaka's sweet spot. Now, I've been testing this bag as my everyday carry for the past week. And this is like my, 7 millionth Alpaka bag that I've reviewed. So I'm very familiar with the brand and I have a lot to say, especially also because I recently tested and reviewed the Flow Satchel in the 4 liter. And I think that they're both really good bags, but they kind of are for different people in a lot of ways. Let me run you through some of the bag's top features. I think the first thing that's noticeable about this bag is its shape, where it's got almost like this boat crescent design, which I think is going to be a lot of the appeal for the Flow Satchel. But it's not just like aesthetically cool, it actually has some really great functional benefits as well. And it's probably my favorite part about this messenger, and I will explain that in a bit more detail in the functionality section of this review. We've got a very well padded shoulder strap and overall comfy harness system, quick access pocket here in the front. We got a water bottle pocket in the front, handle/luggage pass-through, hidden zipper pocket in the back, and a main compartment that gives you a little bit of organization. But notice how it's kind of hard to see in there, kind of difficult to get into because of the way that like the edges pinch. That's gonna be a recurring theme throughout this review, so definitely keep your eye out for that because it might drive some people crazy. I was cool with it, but it's something you gotta be aware of. Now, Alpaka claims that this messenger satchel, it's the classic Zach Galifianakis quote, it's not a purse, it's a satchel.
You're not really wearing that, are you?
Wearing what?
The man purse. You actually gonna wear that? Or you guys just fucking with me?
It's where I keep all my things. I get a lot of compliments on this. Plus, it's not a man purse, it's called a satchel.
Indiana Jones wore one, and Alpaka is claiming that this satchel is 10 liters in capacity. Here at Nomads Nation, though, we always double check that. Now, let me explain something real fast. First of all, measuring the volume of a bag is a bit more of an art than it is a science. It's not quite like length times width times depth like it would normally be if it was a steel box. The reason being it's a soft good, right? It kind of flows a little bit and compartments compete with each other for space. The next thing I want to mention is the fact that Alpaka does have a tendency to overstate the capacity of their bags. And the third thing is, let's just look at this bag in general and how it's designed. So we've got this corner and this corner, right? And these are elevated. And this design is very bad use of volume. It's good for comfort though. I'll talk about that, like I said, in the functionality in the comfort section. But what you can see here is getting something to use the space up here is kind of a hassle. It's possible. You can use a longer item, like you can put your umbrella in there, perhaps a laptop stand. But you can see when we're looking at the actual volume inside here, that's about gonna be it. Yep, just because of that design. It's not the most efficient use of volume because all up here, we're not gonna be able to get any balls up there. You really just can't use it, right? Quick dimension check. Width of 13 inches, height of 10 inches, and a fully packed out depth of around 7 inches. Quick personal item check. 18 by 14 by 8 is the typical US personal item size. This is going to be a bag that you're gonna be able to fly with as a personal item on any airline. Should be noted that budget airlines, especially in Europe and Asia, have smaller specifications when it comes to their personal item, but this is definitely gonna fit under any seat on any airline. Now, one other note about the volume. We're only testing out the main compartment. Reason being, as you can see, these side pockets, they are flush, empty of capacity when the main compartment is fully packed out. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Alpaka some credit for the measurement of this bag. We are coming in at 10 liters capacity on the dot. Nicely done. Alpaka advertises the weight at 1.5 pounds, which we have verified on scale number 1. and the same on scale number 2. As of recording, the Flow Satchel comes in 2 color options. This is the satchel when it's empty, and here it is fully packed out and worn on the Nomads Nation team. I'm 5'8", and Jason Magmo is 6'2", but don't worry, we're gonna pack out this bag throughout the entire review so you can see exactly what it fits. All Alpaka bags are protected by a lifetime warranty against manufacturing defects, and I must say, as somebody who's in the comments every day, we don't read a lot of complaints about Alpaka's warranty, which means they must do, likely a very good job of honoring that warranty. And for all that, the Flow Satchel runs around 129 USD. Now that price point is very important because moving throughout this review, our goal is to judge if that price point is too high or too low based on what you're getting for the bag. But I gotta let you know that if at any point during this review you're thinking about making a purchase or you wanna find out more information, we highly recommend doing so with the first link in the description below. First reason why is that link makes sure that you get the best price. And the second reason is that we usually have discount codes with the brands that we review here on Nomads Nation. Always Alpaka. We always have an Alpaka discount code. So if you wanna get this bag at the lowest price with that discount code, use the first link. You won't regret it. Next up, let's talk about the materials of the Alpaka Flow Satchel. This fabric is Axoflux, and Axoflux is Alpaka's in-house fabric, and it's gone through some variations, and there's different types of Axoflux. But this one is probably my favorite. And you can see I've got it in both green and black. It's a very light 210D nylon with a ripstop grid. Some quick notes about what all that means. The 210D is the denier. And 210, I love it. It's so thin, but it's still gonna be really durable. Like, this is nylon. It is a very abrasion resistant material, so you don't need the 2000D denier nylon. This will get the job done while keeping the bag very light and very malleable and very baggy. The ripstop grid will also help tears in case there's actually a rip. It will stop, hence the name of the fabric. I will say though, this is not gonna be the most weatherproof material. It's not that it's not weatherproof. Nylon does fine with rain, and there's probably a DWR spray or finish of some kind, but at the end of the day, this is not the most weatherproof bag. Now, the PU-coated zipper here and for the main compartment will certainly improve the bag's weather resistance, but those zippers can peel over time because that PU coating, it's polyurethane, which is plastic, which means they could look like this. Never a guarantee, but it could happen. Overall though, I gotta say, I'm just a huge fan of this material across the board. And the cool thing about Alpaka is they don't just make their own fabric, which already by itself is something that no other bag brands do and is a contributing factor of how they can get their prices so low for the quality that they're bringing to the table. Because they don't have to order from a third-party supplier and pay all the extra fees. They just make it in-house themselves, which is very expensive to start, but once it pays for itself with that initial investment, that's how they can lower their prices. But Alpaka doesn't stop there. They also make their own hardware. They do this in-house as well. This brand is called Maglox with a Z at the end. And this is made in-house at Alpaka HQ. And I know this too because Sig, our camera guy, and myself, we've been to Alpaka's factory. We visited a few months ago. If you want to see a behind the scenes look at what Alpaka's factory is like and how they make everything in-house, it's a really cool video. We'll link that above. And then just for the rest of the materials, we've got a very silky nylon webbing right here. This is the same fabric that a seatbelt would use. Zippers, we're looking at YKK, I assume, which is the only zipper brand I want to deal with these days, absolutely. There's some other good zipper brands out there, but YKK is they're just the best. I demand YKK at this price point. The landing pad for your shoulder has a really nice silky fabric right here with a little bit of grip to it as well. So all that combined is why I'm gonna give this bag a 4.5 out of 5 on the material score. It's kind of mind-blowing how much value Alpaka brings to their bags. All this hardware and fabrics and everything, it's just gonna be top-notch. I just wish that we didn't use PU-coated zippers here because they could peel over time. But if that's not a big deal to you or you want the additional weather resistance, then this thing gets a 5 out of 5. And a real quick disclaimer, guys, on that score and all the scores moving forward is that they are personal, just based on my experience using the bag. Okay, next chapter. Let's do a pack out of the Alpaka Flow Satchel. You can see right here, I got a bunch of EDC stuff. And like I said, guys, I've been using this as my everyday carry for the past week. And 10 liters as an everyday carry for me was actually quite enjoyable. I really liked it. All y'all out there who are doing like 30 liters plus for everyday carry, just bring less stuff. You don't need all that stuff. Real fast though, I wanna show you the difference between the 4 liter and the 10 liter. And I gotta say, if you look at the size differences, guys, like, you should have a pretty good idea of what direction you wanna go in. This is your just pocket reliever. This is not an everyday carry, I don't think, like for work. You're not gonna fit a laptop in here, you're not gonna fit a tablet in there. This is a great exploration sling if you're traveling to a new country or a new city or a new destination. But just to showcase the difference in size, the 4 liter by itself is gonna get you a hoodie, and like that's gonna take up most of the volume. So this is pocket reliever status. Phone, keys, wallet, maybe a small water bottle, maybe a notebook, but like, you know, pocket reliever. This though is like an actual work EDC, and that's what I was using it for. In the front pocket, you've got a keychain. I'm not a huge fan of this keychain. It's quite bulky, but the magnetic attachment is very strong and satisfying, and it is sewn into the bag. For me though, I don't have keys, so I just use that for my tissues, portable charger. Shout out to Clint from The Perfect Bag, by the way, he posted this. He's like, dude, you guys should get this, I like it. And I bought it right away, and it's been awesome phone charger. This is from Charge, which is also a terrible brand name, Charge. Don't like that. But you can see right here, this pocket can fit a bunch of stuff. For me, I just use it for all my smaller bits of gear that I want quick access to. Laptop compartment is big enough for a 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is exactly what I have. You can see that it's a nice fit, but I will admit, laptops don't feel as secure in a satchel or messenger like this as it would in comparison to a backpack. Just because of the loosier, goosier nature of a messenger. But having said that, you still got plenty of padding here and a bit of a false bottom. For these two pockets here, I didn't really utilize them. You've got a power mesh, two separate pockets, but if you wanted, you could put quick access items in there, more tissues, throw some wet wipes. We've got two lining pockets, which I did end up using. Good spot for your backup glasses, possible AirPods at the bottom. And then we got the actual main compartment. Now here's the deal. We've just taken up a lot of space on these sides with the laptop, these pockets, and these pockets, and now this main compartment has just lost a lot of capacity. You can see we can still get a small or slim tech pouch in there and a hoodie, but guys, that's gonna be about it. Now, if you're wearing your hoodie, it does open it up to a few other things, like you can put your over-the-ear headphones in there, but really space is kind of limited, so do keep that in mind. Now, one thing to know is with this shape, you're not gonna fit a lot of bulkier items in here. Like for instance, I bring my oatmeal every day to the office so I can have my breakfast to be healthy, and it's so lame, but got my oatmeal. Trying to be healthy, guys. But like, I could barely fit it in here. It's a small little tin. I had to put it on its side, so it's definitely not gonna work for your lunch if you bring that to work every day. Back pocket is actually quite large. It's the entire area of this back panel. So it's a good spot for bigger things if you want to fit a notebook in there and secure things like your wallet because it's pressed against your body when you're wearing it. Now, a couple other notes. This bag does have lash points all around the sides, so you can clip things on externally, like if you want to carry your hand sanitizer. But now let's talk about two very important things to many of y'all EDCers out there, umbrella and sunglasses. I always have these two things with me. And there was nowhere on this bag that I love to put my sunglasses, so I ended up putting them just in the water bottle pocket right here. Now, this is not the safest location if you have an expensive pair of sunglasses, but I do not have expensive pair of sunglasses because I lose my sunglasses. So these are just cheap old Amazon ones, so if they get a little dinged up, whatever, I just buy another pair. But there's always an umbrella in there for me, and I love this slot for an umbrella. You can see it's a very nice fit, and you can use this elastic securing mechanism to keep your umbrella from going anywhere. But here's where I will say, this is gonna be marketed as a water bottle pocket, and I think a lot of you want it to be a water bottle pocket, but I don't think it's an exceptional water bottle pocket. And that's just gonna come down to the design. See how this is done? Like, you know, whenever there's things in this part of the bag, this is going to be compromised. Now, it depends how it's packed out. Right now, there's some flatness going on there because there's no bulky items in here. So you can see the 24-ounce Columbia. This will fit and will be secured with our elastic friend right there. And as you can see, that's gonna be quite secure. Water bottle doesn't get jostled around. Upside down test, it passes. And you can zip it up for a bit of more security as well, and that works. But in the situation, guys, that you have something, let's just say, like a tech pouch or an umbrella or something just hard on the other side behind the water bottle pocket, let's put this tech pouch in there, right? So you wanna have an extra tech pouch, and you can see now this is here. Now the water bottle pocket's gonna be compromised. It still works, you can still fit it in there, but it gets a little wonky. The shape of the bag gets compromised. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. You saw that it fit. It just is gonna depend on how you pack it out. So if you're somebody who really finds a system and you pack it out a certain way and play like the Packout Tetris game, right? You can definitely fit it in there, but otherwise, I'm gonna say mostly, I think it's just better for umbrellas or your sunglasses or smaller bits of gear. This is a pretty decent self-standing bag by messenger standards. I mean, you know, it's got a flat bottom. So if you pack it out the right way, it can stand upright. And yeah, that should be about it. Let's now jump into the next section and talk about the comfort of the Alpaka Flow Satchel 10 liter. And this to me is where the bag really shines, because functionally there are some things I don't love about this sling slash messenger slash satchel slash whatever the you are. But the comfort was not one of those things. This thing was cozy, dude. Starting with what I was talking about earlier with this sort of boat-shaped crescent whatever design. This design leaves this fabric right here. So let's do a little comparison here then between the Peak Design Messenger and the Alpaka Flow Satchel. Not picking on Peak Design here, just two different ways of doing it. Now the Peak Design is typical to like, it's sort of like your old school messenger where it's got structure built into it, which makes sense because Peak Design's a photography company, right? So they want to protect your expensive DSLR gear. It's just a really popular messenger in general. And I fucking hate wearing this messenger because of how bulky it feels because of that padding. And there's that just not really a lot of flow with this. It's very clunky. Versus the Flow Satchel with these bits of fabric at the top, it is almost like a duffel in some ways that sort of like collapses into itself, and then it just flows. That's why they named it the Flow Satchel. Dude, I get it now. I don't know if that's why I did that. But as I was wearing this in my EDC, I'm not a big messenger guy. I was begrudgingly like, it's time to do a messenger. Let's go, guys. This week's gonna suck. But it was actually a very comfortable wear because of, I would say, starting and ending with this. And just kind of whether I had to go here or there, or switching shoulders, the Flow Satchel just always flowed with me. It did. Now, the other thing that makes this thing amazingly comfortable is the shoulder strap. And I love it because it's a really long landing pad. Also, the shoulder strap is removable. I never would use it once because I'm always carrying this thing in shoulder carry mode. This top handle doesn't do really much in my opinion. Real quick too, before we talk about the comfort of that landing pad, let's just give you the full dimensions of how long this shoulder strap can go. Hardware included, you got a max length of around 56 inches. And with this landing pad, dude, it's just comfy. I like it because it's got a premium, nice feel to it, but while also giving you a little bit of coarseness as well, which is important for grip. Because you think to yourself, oh, I want this to be silky smooth, and you really don't. Because when it's silky smooth, you're doing the shoulder slide game every 10 seconds, and the shoulder slide game, it sucks. It really is not a fun game. So I found this to be actually a really nice landing pad because of that comfort and that squish and that beefy comfort, but also because of that a little bit of coarseness. It kept the strap nice and in place. And because it adjusts very nicely as well, so whatever position you want it to be on with your shoulder, it was easy to get it in that position, like instantaneously.
How is it adjusting the shoulder strap?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like this?
Yeah, it's got both.
Yeah, that's a good question, Sig. So adjusting the shoulder strap is a bit of a pain, but honestly, it's like a set it and forget it kind of thing. Like it's not like a backpack where you kind of like fidgeting with it and tightening it and sternum strapping and unsternum strapping. For a messenger, I feel like you just kind of find your spec and then you're just locked in, you're good to go. So although figuring out that exact formula of where you want it might be a bit tedious at first, once you get it, then it's just, it's all very simple. Like this is me, this is where I like it to be. Only issue is that with this buckle right here, it does limit the shoulder strap movement, right? Sometimes I want to just like fully move the shoulder strap, like to maybe to this position, but then that buckle has caught it and then relocated it. So like the landing pad for the shoulder strap is not perfectly mobile, but it's pretty damn close. And because of that, this is one of the most comfortable messenger bags I've ever tested. One negative though is this handle. It's sort of a luggage pass-through, double it as a handle. I understand where Alpaka was coming from with this design choice because, you know, they could have made like some really beefy handles here so you can go into briefcase mode, and they said, screw that. This isn't the Flow briefcase, it's the Flow Satchel. If you're satcheling, you're not carrying the bag like this. But sometimes I wanted to, and this just felt very unsatisfying and like, just not great. So if you're looking for a bag that can do both, I would say this is not going to be it. But if you're looking for that messenger that can be worn in shoulder strap mode extremely comfortably, this very well could be it. So for my overall score, I'm gonna give this thing a 5 out of 5. Like, it's not perfect, but I think it's as perfect as it gets for what it is. And I know that's because I loved wearing it. I really enjoyed this past week. I miss you, little guy. Real quick, let's talk about the functionality of the Flow Satchel. This is where the points, I don't wanna say dwindle, but like there are some compromises. The biggest of which just being because of the extra comfort with these corners, you're getting kind of difficulty getting into the main compartment. These corners pinch and it's just not always the easiest experience to grab what you want, but I'm being a bit nitpicky, I'm not gonna lie. It's small, right? So if this is like a 20 liter, that would be a problem. But it's 10 liters, so it's less of a problem. Water bottle pockets, you know, it wasn't quite as diverse as I was hoping it would be, but if it's just the umbrella storage spot, it is absolutely perfect for that. I quite like the functionality of this front pocket too, because even though the main compartment is pretty packed out, you still got room to get in here. This is a little thing, but it goes a long way, and a lot of bag makers are not good at this. The front pockets are flush and they're tight and they're hard to get into, but with this, they just did it in a way where you got a little bit of volume, just make it easier to grab whatever you put in there. I think the functionality of the back pocket is quite good too. It would have been tight if they would have made it smaller, but they clearly knew what they were doing by making this thing just nice and big, therefore allowing you to fit larger items in there. Or if it's just a smaller item like your wallet, it's just easy to grab. Again, I've seen these messengers where they got a back pocket like this and you unzip it and you can't get in there. The Flow Satchel, man, it's flowing from all corners. I guess my only real complaint then about the functionality is just how tight the main compartment can feel. And I guess laptop protection isn't the best, but compared to other messengers, this has got really good laptop protection. Maybe not as much as our friend Peak Design, right? Because again, all that padding. So there's just pros and cons to every design choice. Like, this is such a more protective messenger than the Flow Satchel will ever be. I mean, on the back, like, you could hit somebody in the head with this and it could knock them unconscious. Like, it's that much of a hard shell. But the Flow Satchel, dude, is just that 210D, and that's about it. But you got some padding in the back. There's no real false bottom. We got some padding on the bottom. But I am a freak when it comes to my laptop protection. This is my entire life. It's both of my businesses. So, you know, I'm very careful of this when I use bags, and I have to admit, I never felt like my laptop was in danger. Was I a little extra careful? Yes. Would I maybe recommend putting an extra sleeve on it and double wrapping? Possibly. But for it being a messenger, it does keep your laptop safe enough. I'll say safe enough. Last note on the functionality, luggage pass-through. I actually haven't tested this yet. Top handle, yeah, it's pretty good. So some things to note. One, I think this should be a great personal item. You put it underneath the seat in front of you. It's not too big. It's just the right size. It can fit all your stuff for your actual flight. Alpaka's trying to do sort of a 2-in-1 thing here though, where the top handle is also the luggage pass-through. I think they just should have put one here, to be honest, because it would have been so much cleaner, and then maybe beef this up. That would be my one thing where it's like, maybe you just should have beefed this up and made it very clearly a hand handle, and then just should have popped the luggage pass-through right there, because this experience doesn't feel necessarily very flush because it's at the top like this, right? If it was centered here, it's gonna just stick with the actual handle. But now I can kind of do one of these, and yeah, I guess it all works. Maybe you can even carry it like that, but it doesn't feel like the cleanest design from that perspective. But having said that, it works. No doubt about that. So for functionality, I'm gonna give this bag a 4 out of 5. Minus a few quirks, it is impressively functional across the board. Now, before we jump into the most important part of this review and give you my overall scores, I wanna welcome you again to Nomads Nation and let you know that if you're enjoying this review, you might be a bit of a gearhead, or maybe you just really like bags, or you travel a lot. If that's the case, we should be friends, because here at Nomads Nation, like, that's what we do. We're sort of that trifecta between travel, everyday carry, and carry. We sort of exist in the middle of those three things. And if those three things are your things, then you should definitely sign up to the Nomads Nation newsletter. Because in that newsletter, we're taking this whole gear thing to the next level. We're delivering to your inbox on a weekly basis the newest drops, limited edition releases, industry trends, plus like some deep insights that we're seeing from Nomads Nation, some thought pieces. We're just trying to deliver ultimate value, and I can promise you it is a one-of-a-kind newsletter that you cannot get anywhere else on the web. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to look for this globe emoji in the description below. You can sign up to the newsletter there. I hope to see you in your inbox. All right, time for some pros and some cons of the Alpaka Flow Satchel 10 liter. Pro number one is going to be this sort of boat-y crescent design and how it really allows the sling to flow with you. And pro number two, just building on that, more comfort is the flexibility and just overall padding of the shoulder strap. And pro number 3 is just like, I know it's not a briefcase, but in the world of like briefs and messengers and satchels, sort of like in this whole like room together, they're all trying to put structure into it and make it boxy, whether it's Bellroy or Air or Peak design. And Alpaka just did their own thing with this, and this sort of flowy, malleable nature for me makes it just a superior experience across the board. But having said that, this bag has cons. Here's mine. Con number 1 is going to be the lack of versatility with the water bottle pocket. Con number 2 is the access to the main compartment is definitely compromised and kind of pinches a little bit. And con number 3, for some people, the top handle is going to be a deal breaker because you were looking for a shoulder bag that can also be carried in hand mode. This is probably not it. Now let's see these pros and cons and mash them up together and give you my overall scores. First though, let's talk about the value. For this sling, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's almost perfect. Alpaka's always bringing the value game, the YKK zippers, the Axoflux materials, the Maglocks hardware, the lifetime warranty to protect all of it, only at 130 bucks. 4.5 out of 5, final answer. And as an overview for our scores, for materials, we gave it a score of 4.5 out of 5. Comfort was a perfect score of 5 out of 5. Functionality is 4 out of 5. Value is 4.5 out of 5. For an overall score of 4.5 out of 5, which is exactly when I was wearing this every day. It was where I thought it was gonna be, like in the 4.5 to 5 range. This is one of the best bags I've used in a while. It is just so well designed. I am picky about messengers. I do not enjoy using messengers. This brought back the joy of the messenger experience for me. And in case you want to feel that joy or you're just interested in learning more about the product, we do recommend, again, using the first link in the description below, because that link makes sure that you get the best price. And if we have any discount codes, that's where you'll find them. We always have discount codes with Alpaka, so definitely use that link. I think right now, the discount code is like 10% off for new customers. But in case you're not quite sold on the Alpaka Flow Satchel, you wanna see what else is on the market, let's talk alternatives. First up, if you are new to the Nomads Nation channel, you should definitely check out our leaderboard rankings video. In this video, myself and the Nomads Nation squad, we get together and pick our favorite bags in different bag categories. Messengers, like satchels included. I've gone ahead and linked that above. Also, in case you're not aware, here at Nomads Nation, after reviewing like 300 bags, we decided to start our own bag company called Firo. And Firo's mission is to help modern professionals stay streamlined and focused. Now, we don't have a messenger / satchel just yet, but we will very soon. So in case you just want to learn more about Firo to see our large slings and backpacks, those are there. Or maybe you're watching this video like a year from when it was published, and maybe we have a messenger bag live on the site now. Regardless, if you want to learn more about Firo, you can do so at firo.co or with the second link in the description. But if we are very close with the Flow Satchel, here are 2 specific alternatives that might get you a little bit closer. My first alternative will be the Alpaka Flight Satchel. This is a great pick for you if you're digging the Alpaka vibes and overall value proposition, and you like this messenger, but you just want to see it done a little bit differently. As the name suggests, this is the Flow Satchel. It's got a lot of similarities to the Flight Satchel, but the Flight Satchel has 2 water bottle pockets, different sizes, different pocket configuration. I think that I like the Flow slightly more, but the Flight Satchel also slaps. No doubt about that. And my second alternative is going to be the Bellroy Cinch. This is a great pick for you if you're looking for sort of that middle ground between a messenger and a sling, but you want to see it done in a way that the aesthetic is slightly different. The Bellroy Cinch, I think, is a bit more kind of cash, while still having like a fun kind of like hipster vibe to it, but also still providing functionality in its own way. I actually think that like bag preferences are evolving, and I think that Alpaka and Bellroy are doing a very good job of being on the forefront of this sort of like toady, messenger-y, slingy sort of fusion where you just want like a nice, chill, malleable bag that can carry your stuff, but while also providing functionality. So if you wish to learn about either of these 2 alternatives, you can do so by watching these videos right here. If you got any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aaron, this is Nomads Nation, and we'll catch you next time.